Also on behalf of MES College, Erumely, I invite Dr. R. Rajesh to handling the session. Over to you, Rajesh.
Hello.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Eid Mubarak to for my Muslim friends and to the MES College students. So I request somebody's like, they didn't unmute. Like the mute. Can you mute actually? Like, who's that actually? Yeah, can you mute, please?
This video,
All right. I guess like I'm unable to share my screen. Can you fix that one because it's showing like host disable attendee screen sharing? Can you make me as a speaker so I can share my screen? Hello? I'm unable to share my screen.
Definitely. We will check, sir. We will check.
Yeah. So actually, like you can click on my name and you can make that as a speaker.
ഈ സമയത്ത് വീഡിയോ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നല്ലോ നമ്മൾ പരസ്യം ഹലോ ഓക്കെ എന്നെ മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തേക്കേ വരുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഹലോ,
ശരിയായില്ലേ സർ? ഫുൾ ഷെയറിങ് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഷെയർ ചെയ്യായിരുന്നു. ഇതിന്റെ MES കൊണ്ടുവന്നില്ലേ?
ഇപ്പൊ ലൈവ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ. ഡോക്ടർ ഇപ്പൊ വരും. ഡോക്ടർ അകത്ത് വരും. ഡോക്ടർ വേറെ സ്ഥലത്ത് നിൽക്കുന്നു. ഇപ്പൊ 2 മിനിറ്റ് ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവ് ആയിട്ട് വരും. ഡോക്ടർ ലൈനിൽ കിട്ടിയത് ഇനി കിട്ടി. ഡോക്ടർ കിട്ടി.
All right. Thank you very much. And yeah, so let's get started with today's presentation on art of writing, research review. I mean, like, so mostly I'm going to talk about like how we are going to write a review, research paper, because as all of you know, like how to write research paper. So what I'm going to share today is not about something new. It's already like what is the existing system of writing articles. The only things that what I'm going to today is share is how we can improve, and I'm going to share some information about how can we give some importance to certain areas while preparing the manuscript, and also I'm going to give some 100 tips how to improve your manuscript before you submitting to any journal. Yeah, so also you can have questions at the end of the presentation. You can write over there at the chat box, or you can raise your questions by calling over here. All right, so myself, Rajesh Kumar. So I am working as a senior research scientist at the Institute of Nuclear Agriculture Sciences. That's a International Atomic Energy Agency's first collaborating research center at the university. I mean, Zhejiang University. All right. Okay, so I should thank Dr. P.A. Fazal Ghafoor, the founder actually of president of MES College Erumely, Kottayam, and I thank Dr. M.N. Mahin, principal, MES College Erumely, and my sincere thanks to Janab P.H. Nagib, chairman, and Sri Janab K.P. Nazaruddin, secretary of MES College Erumely. And also I thank my friend Dr. Keshav Kumar for giving this wonderful opportunity to join with you through this webinar. Okay, so before starting, I would like to share some information about the organization what I am associated. Actually, this is Art of Giving Charitable Trust. So I am the founder and secretary for that. It's not a big organization, but however, so I'm trying to do lots of activities through this Art of Giving Charitable Trust in India. So recently in January 2020, I organized an international conference on environmental, agriculture, chemical, and biological sciences at Puducherry, where Puducherry CM and Puducherry former CM and Tamil Nadu Industrial Minister were present at the conference. And also recently organized world's first coronavirus discussion series. I hosted more than 20 speakers in different aspects around the world. So, and also I recently conducted one international virtual conference on emerging infectious and zoonotic diseases with Meerut University. University at Meerut. That's Chaudhry Chauhan Singh University. And I'm also a founder of Voice. So this is a Voice of Indian Concern for the Environment. And also recently I established as a Voice of International Community for the Environment, which mostly working towards the concern of environment. And last year, 2019, the organization, the Voice, received World Environment Day Hero from United Nations, United Nations Environment, and also I received the World Environment Day Hero Award from the same organization for the beat the air pollution. So that was the theme of 2019 World Environment Day. So for that, we received that award. All right. So some more disclosure I want to do is the information presented are from available online resources. Okay, so whatever I'm sharing here is not my information, so it's already existing there on this open sources from the internet. Okay, so I would like to introduce my university. Zhejiang University is abbreviated as ZJU in Pinyin, Chinese use the Pinyin for foreigners to easily read what is it. So in Pinyin, the university is Zhejiang Daxue. Daxue means university. So it's collectively referred to as CHEDA. That is Zhejiang University. Zhejiang Daxue is CHEDA. Is an elite C9 League university located in Hangzhou, the capital of Zhejiang province. The Hangzhou is the place where Alibaba headquarters is located. You might know Jack Ma, the IT giant in the world. So his head office is located at the Hangzhou. So the university founded in the year 1897. The Zhejiang University is one of the China's oldest and most selective and most prestigious institution of higher education. The university is organized into 37 colleges, schools, and departments, offering more than 140 undergraduate and 300 postgraduate programs. So Zhejiang University is a comprehensive research university with a national and international impact. So research at Zhejiang University spans 12 academic disciplines, such as agriculture, art, economics, education, engineering, history, law, literature, management, medicine, natural sciences, and philosophy. So in the essential science indicator, ESA ranking of 20 disciplines of Zhejiang University ranks among the top 1% in 15 disciplines, and is listed in the top 100, that is 54 out of 100 top university in the world, that is in the QS ranking. So campuses, we do have 7 campuses. So one is Zhejiang, so where I'm working, and there's the Yichuan campus, Xixi campus, Huajiaqi, Zhejiang, and the Shaohan, and there's one international campus called Haining. It's at the Haining place. So all these places are campus locating places. And Zhejiang University encompasses an area of 5.9 square kilometers with school buildings covering 1.94 million square meters of floor space. The university library holds a collection of more than 7.7 million volumes of books. In addition, Zhejiang University has 7 high-level affiliated hospitals. Okay, in 2018 now, so the university received around 4.56 billion renminbi, that is equal to $680 million as a fund for conducting research. So more than 100 projects under process, and that received more than 10 million RMB. In 2018, 1,838 Chinese patents has been filed from our university, and 6,903 SCA papers has been published by the researchers from ZJU. At present, there are total 54,641 full-time students enrolled at Zhejiang University, and including 29,200 graduate students and 10,198 PhD candidates and 25,445 undergraduates. So in addition, there are 7,074 international students currently studying at Zhejiang University, and Zhejiang University consistently ranked among China's top universities. It's now still in 2019, it ranked 16th among the universities around the world by SCI Imago Institutions ranking. And the QS ranking, as I told you before, is a ranking 54 out of 100. And if you want to know more about the university and for any opportunities to join Zhejiang University, you can go to this university, the URL is provided over there. So you can have a look and you can like find some postdoc or a master's program to join in this university. Yeah. All right. So now let's go with our like today's like concept, like so publication is a reputable, I mean like in a reputable peer-reviewed journal should be the goal of every research. So that is a dream, right? Like so it's like a giving a birth of a baby. Okay, like when the mom delivers a baby and those who are like surrounded with the family, they also feel happy. Similarly, for a researcher, publication is a kind of like it's a dream or it's like a goal for all the researchers. And publishing provides the most effective and permanent means of like disseminating information to a large audience. When you like publish, so you are like opening a platform for everyone to know what you have done, and with that idea, so they can like come to know like what kind of research is going on around the world. So that's why like most of the researchers, they come forward to like publish their work as a research paper. In general, like we write about research, we are working, we are making a contribution to the scientific community and disseminating the results of our findings in scientific articles. Yeah. So other way you can say like so we are also contributing something to the scientific society, because when you contribute, then only like the research work can be like reproduced. When you don't like publish, so the people might not know like what are the new findings are going around, what are the research are going around, so it will be difficult for the research to know. So when you publish, so you are going to like deliver something to the scientific community, and also like so you are giving the ideas to the public people to through the like your articles. This means that other researchers have access to the research we produce and can examine the subject raised in greater depth to advance scientific knowledge. Yeah, so obviously, like when you publish papers, so there will be access, because these days there are many open access journals has been come. So many of them, they have the opportunity to like see what kind of research has been done and what are the data has been produced so far, and that's going to help the people, actually the research community, like have some more and more detail about the subject to get some knowledge in that area. All right, so before start writing articles, okay, so one should know like what are the types of articles are available. So there are like 5 types of articles are there, and today I mean like I will show you like so what are they and how they differ from each others. Okay, so the first one is research paper. So this is the most common type of journal manuscript. Okay, so when you are writing articles, that we cannot like consider an article. We could say it's a manuscript. Okay, so once it got published, you can call it an article. While you're writing and submission, until you get published, it's going to be your manuscript, not as an article. So when it get published, then only you can call it an article. Okay, so research paper is the most common type of like manuscript, which is in the form of original article, research article, or just article, or depending on the journal. The original research format is suitable for many different fields and different types of studies. It includes full introduction will be there. There should be like methods, research, discussion, and conclusion, and there may be like an acknowledgement, and also there will be lots of information. That is like it's called like, that's why it's called as a full length paper. So we also call it full length paper. Okay, and the other one is like also review article. So review article, like it gives like a very short information about certain topic, or whatever like information that you're taking. So it should be like written in a comprehensive ways to like make it as short and to make the people to like know about that. So and a perspective on the like state of the field and where it is heading. They are often written by leaders in a particular discipline after an invitation from the editors of the journal. So mostly in that way, actually, like when like a nature or science kind of journals, they used to get review articles from the experts. Okay, so the person in their field used to get invitation from the like a very big journals like NEJM, Nature, Science, or like other journals. They used to send invitation to the person to write a review about their research, what they are doing. So reviews are often widely read, actually, So for example, by research looking for full interaction in your field, and this highly cited. Reviews commonly cite approximately 100 primary research articles. So for writing a review, one must read and collect at least more than 100 or more actually in so 500. So that will be more important for us to start with the review articles, or it's so you are going to miss some information to when you're perusing as a review manuscript. And yeah, so short communication, okay, this is a similar to kind of brief report, as I told you, so brief report of the data from the original research. Okay, so where the full length paper, okay, the original research paper will be having different section like introduction, method, results, and discussion. Okay, but here is it will be not having all the sections. So here we'll be having very limited information that with directly giving the information of the work what you have done. So yeah, so they're really short. The format is useful for scientists with results that are time sensitive. For example, those in highly competitive and quickly changing disciplines. Okay, so the this short communication is have strict with limits. Okay, so we cannot write in write many pages. So some external details may not be published until the authors write a full original research manuscripts. Okay, so when you publish a short communication, you are not going to give all those information. So when you are going to publish as a full length paper or original research manuscript, there you are going to give all those informations. So the fourth one is case studies. Case study article reports a specific instances of interesting phenomena so for example, it's a hospital, okay, so 1,000 patients, we have collected these samples, and we have done these clinical studies, we have done the biochemical studies, okay, so that kind of so some interesting phenomena should be given as a case study article. The goal of case studies is to make other researchers aware of the possibility that a specific phenomenon might occur. This type of study is often used in medicine to report occurrence of previously unknown or emerging symptoms. All right. So the last one is the methods paper. So this type of manuscript present here a new experiment method to method or a test or a procedure, okay, or a protocol, okay. So what are the new kind of method that have developed should be published as a methods paper. The method described may either be completely new or may offer a better version of existing method. The article should describe a demonstrable advance on what is currently available. Okay, so it should give so what is the advance of information that should be available. All right, so let's see how the journals has been they're doing the review of the manuscript what you're submitting. So after submission, the author the journal they will look actually whether the journal the article, okay, so or fit into the journal, okay. So if yes, they will send it to editors initial evaluation of paper, okay. So if your article, your manuscript does not fit into journal, probably the editor will inform to the author that is they will say no, it's because your manuscript is not fit into the journal criteria or the or the theme or the concept of the journal. So yeah, so additional after editor, okay, he does the evaluation, the initial evaluation, okay. So if he finds good, probably it will go for consideration, okay. Then they will send it to the next level to the review. And if it's not having any kind of novelty or the editor feels it's not good, so they will reject and they will inform the author, okay. So yeah, so once you the editor feels that your article is good, then they will send it to the experts, and the experts will now review the manuscript. After they review the manuscript, they give the reports to the editor again, and then the editor will revert back again to the author. The comments should be properly read and should be and all the comments raised by the reviewers, okay. So these are the process are happening in the peer review. So after if there's any revision record, then they will intimate us you need to do the revisions. So we need to carry out the revisions, or sometimes, you know, after the like reviewer says this manuscript is not like, you know, fit into the journal, probably they will reject, or sometimes they accept. Okay, so it depends upon so what kind of like, you know, article that we have like prepared. That's more important. Okay, so these are really some types of like, you know, review types which done by most of the journals. Okay, the first one is single blind review. So in this, okay, so the names of the reviewers are hidden from the author. Okay, so the author will not know the name of the reviewer. Okay, so the where the manuscript has been sent for reviewing. Okay, so the author might not know. That is called single blind. And the double blind is both the reviewer and author are anonymous in this model. Okay, so the reviewer also won't know. Yeah, so both the reviewer and the author maybe like, you know, so they don't know each other's. Okay, so they that is like double blind. And the triple blind review is like, you know, the reviewers anonymous, okay, and the author's identity is unknown for both the reviewers and to the editors. Okay, so the author will not be like, you know, though they will not like mention so who are the authors to the editors as well as to the reviewers. So this is called triple blind review. And there's open review. Open review is an umbrella for many different models aiming at a greater transparency during and after the peer review process. The most common definition of open review is like, you know, when both the reviewer and author are known to each other during the peer review process. Okay, so this is the reviewer also know who is the author, and author also know who is the reviewer. So this is called open review. So based on these four types, only most of the journals are functioning around the world. Okay. So okay, so why write and publish paper? Okay, so this is the most important thing. Okay, so if you're thinking about writing a science paper for peer review and publication, so on my ask like, you know, what are the steps should be followed? Okay, so ideally you have thought about possibility of writing and publishing in your research project because some yearly planning can help you to avoid problems. Okay, so you should not rush and you know, like quickly. So you need to like, you know, plan accordingly. So once you're like doing the experiment, meanwhile you need to start writing the methods, medicine methods. So it will be helpful for anyone to like, you know, complete the manuscript in the time schedule. But yeah, so you should ask yourself about your, you know, so what is the motivation behind you to like, you know, writing that article? That is also more important thing. Writing a paper and getting it published in a peer-reviewed journal is really hard work. And yeah, even after the hard work that led to like, you know, publishable results. So it's not that easy to like, you know, publish a paper actually. Yeah. So it's really hard to publish in a peer-reviewed journals. And it takes like, you know, these days, like it takes more than 6 months for a review. I mean, to get the comments from the reviewers. Sometimes, you know, the rejection comes after like 6 months from the editor. So it hardly takes like 1 year to like, you know, get published in a peer-reviewed journals. Yeah, most of my papers also like, you know, yeah, so it's like 6 months, sometimes like 3 months, sometimes 1 month. It depends upon the, you know, quality of like, you know, article that you are, you know, submitting. Mm. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So I was writing a paper. Okay. So yeah. So why do people do it? Okay. Because what motivates the author to go through the writing process, and then the peer review process in order to like, you know, publish their work. There are two kinds of motivation can be like, you know, the reason actually. One is like, you know, altruism, and another one is like, you know, self-interest. And most authors have some combination of like, you know, both. So yeah, so let's see like what is altruism. Altruism is kind of like, you know, peer-reviewed science publication are the predominant method today for, you know, describing and archiving scientific advances, like I could say like books, conference presentation, and the university teaching or other common ways. Science grows and advances through a communal collection of knowledge that is constantly being challenged, revised, and expanded. Most scientists, have a strong desire to contribute to the advancement of their field, which is often their primary reason for becoming a scientist or a researcher. So publication is usually the most straightforward way to make such contribution, and it does making somebody to give motivation to the research community. So the other one is self-interest. So publishing can also bring some tangible to an author, tangible benefits. Thus providing self-interest motivation for writing and publishing a paper. And publishing may be required for career advancement. So mostly so we publish papers for career advancement, because when you publish papers, then only you can go for so promotion. So they provide you promotion or they give salary increment. So so it's frequently accompanied by direct or indirect monetary rewards. So the familiar publish or perish paradigm in academia adds proverbial stick to the carrot of career advancement, publish or perish. So this is a really interesting one. And but even without this obvious professional motivation, almost all human beings crave recognition for their efforts. So let's see in the academic world, so it's an economic world. System that promote greater disparity, is in wealth, contribute to unbalanced, selfishness. So a winner always take, winner take all tournament. It's because where only the researchers with the top rated papers. So when you have top rated papers, can be get chances of good job, and so, and also the tenure based work, or more grants, and also students to work for their research. So these are the reasons. So want to publish their paper. So so this is the most important thing before anyone start writing or doing research. Not only writing, actually when you start your research. So this is the most important thing to start with. The new research project almost always begin with literature search. Literature search. So at least we could read at least 20 papers a day to know what is happening around. So the goal of the search is to evaluate the state or communal knowledge on a topic before embarking on your cost of adding to the knowledge, because science is about either confirming or refuting existence knowledge, or developing new knowledge, a thorough understanding of the current state. Current information about the scientific information. But unfortunately, so literature searches are very rarely done as well as so because lots of people, they miss that one. So in order to avoid that kind of thing, so there are few hints has been can help anyone to improve their literature searches. The first point is do the literature search before performing the research, and certainly before writing the paper. So without doing the real literature search, you cannot do your research. And obviously before starting writing the paper, you should always have good quality of research papers which can help you to write or start with your manuscript. And the next most promising papers to read are often those reference in the relevant papers you have already found. So you should aware of what kind of article that you are looking for that should be relevant to your work. So that should be always updated. So maybe today you may miss some information that cannot be missed in your manuscript, because always the manuscript should be with the recent citations, the references. So you should not miss anything. So in order to avoid those kind of things, one should keep following and updating the recent relevant research work. And looking fields outside your discipline. Okay, so yeah, so you can give different keywords. Okay, so put different keywords, and you can try to compare what are the other kind of similar kind of work or other kind of work has been done. Okay, that is going to help somebody to read something out of their discipline. Okay. And also, while your memory of which previous paper or worth citing is a good start. Okay, so you always go with the previous papers. Okay, so when you read the paper, so it will be more helpful for you to giving a citation in your paper, in your manuscript. Okay, no one ever knows the full scope of the literature in even the smallest of niche fields. Okay, so niche fields they can be you should not miss the information. Okay, so when you're writing the collecting the literature, you should not miss any information. So do not rely on your memory alone. Okay, so you should not think, okay, so I have a good memory, so I remember what is what. That's not the way. Okay, so you need to keep record of all those information in the EndNote or in the Mendeley or any kind of there are plenty of online tools are there, so you can use it, and you can always update your your EndNote or your Mendeley for keeping record of all the updated research papers. Okay. Okay, so when finishing up the manuscript, okay, look for recent publication on the subject. Okay, often other researchers are working on similar topics may have published papers that should be read to ensure that your manuscript latest research knowledge in the field. Okay, because what happens sometimes, you may think, okay, you will be submitting the manuscript now. Okay, so in the morning, you should, before you submit the manuscript, you give a search, okay, with the keywords. Probably a similar kind of work would have been published in the morning. So
sir, sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
Yeah.
Audible. Sir, we are honoring our state president, Dr. Fasil Kapoor, sir, with us for some give us some special message to our webinar series. He is there. Also, we inaugurate this webinar series. So, sir, please, can you give me 5 minutes? Sir, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Hello. we are honoring the presence of our Honorable Education Society Kerala for the inauguration of our webinar series, and also he gave a special message to the participants. So I welcome Dr. Fazil Ghafoor, sir. We have some inconvenience due to hosting. So kindly wait there. Rajesh sir, please change the host button. Rajesh sir.
Top of the screen.
That is sir. Let's start our session. We have some technical problems, so we cannot connect our honorable chairman. So, sir, please continue your session. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for it.
May I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Sorry?
You continue, sir.
All right. Okay.
Sir, you continue.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Okay. So let me continue with this data structure. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry, actually, there was some interruption because the president of MES College I think he wants to give a speech, but unfortunately, he didn't join yet. So, okay, let me continue with this literature search. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So this is what about literature search, okay? Because without doing literature search, okay, literature search is more important, and also you should find a proper literature for your work. Give proper keywords to find out what kind of information that you are digging from the database, because a Google or PubMed or any kind of WOS, okay. So anywhere, if you go and give proper keywords, you can get proper article for you to read. Using keywords more important. Also right when you're writing your manuscript, they are also the keywords are very, very important, because of the keywords only any author or any reader can give a search, get the information from the database, and they can read your article. Then they can give citations, because citations is very, very important for any researchers these days, because now they are asking what is your citations, and what is your H index, what is your I index, what is Scopus index, all these things. So this is only based upon what kind of keywords that you're giving, and how you are getting the information from the literatures. Okay, so the literature search is more important for startup with any kind of research or writing the article. Okay, so let's see what is the first step of writing a research paper. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so before start writing your manuscript, okay, so I could say it's a manuscript or paper, article, whatever you can name it. So I call it a manuscript. Okay, before start writing your manuscript, you need to put an outline. Okay, so outline means what can be there in the introduction part, what can be there in the materials and methods, what can be there in the results and discussion, and what can be the subtitles. If it's a review paper, so you need to give what would be the subtitles can be there in the review article. So in that way, you should prepare an outline of your manuscript. That is more important. Without anything, you're gonna blindly jump onto your Word doc to type anything. Okay, so before doing that, prepare an outline. So if you have a proper outline before starting, it will be more effectively to organize and present all the information and your ideas that you brought out from your research. So that is more important. There is a need for making an outline of the paper. Okay, so the research outline will also help you to write in clear and organized manner without missing any information that you got it through your research work. So that is always really good for anyone to make an outline. So what are the information should be there? Okay, so when you make your outline, okay, first organize the thoughts. Okay, write all the information and what is the novelty of your work and what are the facts involved, hypotheses involved. Okay, so those are the information should be there when you're making an outline of your manuscript. Okay, And also the information flow. Okay, so information flow, it should be like a cascade. Okay, it should like start with the basic and then slowly it should be like story writing. Okay, so there was a village. In the village there was one person. He was having an axe, and he used the axe for cutting the trees. When he was cutting the trees, there were monkeys. Okay, so it should be like the storytelling. It should be like a storytelling. It should be like a cascade. So when you have the information flow in that way, so it will be increase more audiences to read your article, and also cite your article when they write their manuscripts. Okay, so the information flow is like should be a cascade. Is more important. Okay, and include everything. Okay, so what are the information that you're having? Include everything. Don't miss any data. Okay, so this when you make the outline. Okay, so these are things that is going to help you. Okay, and the most important part of your manuscript is the structure. Okay, that is IMRAD. Okay, so what is IMRAD? So let's see what is IMRAD. So IMRAD is so it's all manuscripts. Okay, so it comes with an introduction. Okay, and also comes with methods, and it comes with results and discussion, and finally after discussion there will be a conclusion. So this is a basic structure of any kind of manuscript. All right. All right. So yeah, writing in so inherently a creative process. Okay, writing is not that easy. Okay, so I agree, because I'm not going to say that everybody's good at writing. Okay, so they may be good in the laboratory work. They could can work 24 hours, and they can work day and night. They can bring lots of data, and meanwhile writing is also important, but that is the difficult part for most of the researchers. Personally, I also felt that kind of difficulties while doing my PhD. So writing is so there is it's a creative process. You should be very creative. It should be like a storytelling. Okay, so that would seem a good fit for a science researcher, because being a science anyone should have the capability to write their research article. Okay, and it should be also with creativity is more important. And also the critical thinking is another important thing while writing the manuscript. Okay, so these are the information one should have to have a successful publish in a journal. Okay, so these are the key to the success. And many scientists so they do not think of themselves sorry so think themselves as a qualified so writers, and they find the task writing both intimidating and also address. Okay, so that is a very important point, because of being a researcher or scientist. This is the most important thing one should consider. And so there's a formula may sound like recipe for mediocrity. Okay, so when you write, it should be recipe type, and in some context this would surely be true. But for scientific paper, the emphasis must always stay on the science, with words, more tools for effectively conveying the information. Okay, so so over the last 350 years, our scientific journals has been evolved a distinctive style. Okay, in various platform and the structure, and also the organization that make it easy for both the writers and the reader to get, and that's why they need from the paper. Okay, so so the effective communication of scientific ideas. So and the major difference between journal-based science writing and the diverse forms of writing found elsewhere, so it's a very limited scope of our medium.
Hello, Rajesh sir.
Yes.
Sir, sir, I give you 1 minute for sir. Our Honorable Chairman, Dr. Faisal Ghafoor sir, with us. Sir is joined here for the inauguration of this webinar series. So, for welcoming our Honorable Chairman, Dr. Faisal Ghafoor sir, our Principal, Mr. Mayin sir, give an introduction for the eminent personality of MES State President, Dr. Fasil Ghafoor, sir. Sir, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Radio mute Hello, sir. Connect to audio. Hello. Hello. Website connect to audio. Hello. Hello, audio connect.
Hello? 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 Audible ആണല്ലോ. Hello? Are we audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Audible ആണോ?
Hello. So you're
Are
audible.
we
Sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hope I am audible over there.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Good morning, friends. First of all, I'd like to apologize to Dr. Ramasamy for having interrupted his speech a couple of times. But I was also listening to that speech, and I was, it's very interesting. And as many of you may be knowing or may not be knowing, I also hold a doctorate in medicine. And I have had my own experience of writing research papers. At the outset, I would like to congratulate MES College, its principal and its secretary, for having organized this webinar. Of course, it has got its own technical problems, but in this era of corona, this is the only way out. And regarding research, this is why we should have research. See, now we have the problem of this coronavirus, and we are nowhere. So we don't know how to investigate. And I'll give you examples, then you will know that. We don't know the treatment, and we don't know the precautions also. Give an example. First, they said that you should not wear masks. You need not wear masks. Nowadays, they are saying that masks are compulsory. Second thing they said is that this drug chloroquine is effective. Now they are having thought, they are rethinking about it. Third, they are speaking about a rapid test from the serum, from the blood. Now they are saying it's all faulty, and they send back the kits. Fourth, they are speaking about travel in the aircraft. First, they were saying there should be safe distancing. Now they are saying that the air conditioning mechanism will filter off. It has got a HEPA virus filter, it seems. HEPA filter, which will filter off the virus. All these are in the realms of conjecture. Now, in the treatment, in the investigation, they said that you can have pooled therapy. That means you take the swab of 5 people, put it together, and if it is negative, all 5 are negative. If you get one positive, if you get it positive, that means 1 out of 5 is positive, and then you can check. All these are all just conjecture. Similarly, they have got something which is called convalescent plasma therapy, whereby you take the plasma of people who have already been infected and probably who are having antibodies, and then you use it. Now, that also has fallen into disrepute. So the antibody tests have fallen into disrepute. The mechanisms have fallen into disrepute. The treatment has fallen into disrepute. Why? That is where we require research. That is what Dr. Ramaswamy was saying. That you should have RCT, randomized control trials. You can't get all these things through short communications. You can't just say, or there is, what do you say, that this is anecdotal. We have something called anecdotal papers. See, a senior doctor will say that I have treated 1,000 patients having pulmonary tuberculosis by giving them lemon juice, and they all improved. That doesn't work. So anecdotes don't work, short communications don't work. So basically, statistically significant RCTs are important. That will take time. So that is where we stand as far as the corona. So coronavirus and virology, it requires a lot of research. And the virus, as you know, undergoes change. It undergoes mutation. And some of these viruses are very lethal also. The virus in Italy and the virus in New York is not the virus which we have in Kerala. So that means more research will have to be done on that. So this is why we have research. That is, and you can't have just research, you can't pull out research from your hat and say, here I have the solution. No. That is where there is a question of plagiarism. Now, this is very troublesome. I'll give you an example. I have this funny habit of presenting papers in various disciplines, including arts, history, language, Urdu, law, so many things. Now, I can publish papers in many of these things. I have published papers and attended international conferences and all. And I have not at all been happy about the standard of the presentations. What we have found is that many of these seminars, international seminars, or even UGC approved seminars, they are a sham. What they do is that they just collect money from each person. And internationally, it's a internationally it is a scandal. Here it's only a sham, there it's a scandal. They just collect from papers and then they say 3 minutes each for a paper. How can you finish a paper within 3 minutes? Then you have 100 people presenting papers, and most of these papers are substandard. So, as you said, what is a paper? As Dr. Ramaswamy rightly said, you publish it in the peer-reviewed journal of international standard. Because we have umpteen journals nowadays. We have journals on the web, we have journals, we have people also who are ready. We have people who are ready to write papers for you for a consideration. That is also nowadays what that is also happening. However, there are anti-plagiarism engines are there in the internet, and they are becoming more and more efficient. So I think Dr. Ramaswamy will be further elucidating on that matter also. So anti-plagiarism papers, for example, you just take a sentence out of a paper and then put it into that, and you get the similar sentence you are getting in half a dozen other papers. So nowadays what is happening, paper publishing has become very important because promotions as far as the UGC depend on the papers also. So for example, for an assistant professor to become an associate professor, you have to have I'm speaking about the medical field, of course. It could be slightly different in other fields. You could have probably 2 papers published in peer-reviewed journals. And then to become a professor also, you have the same thing. So that this issue is that your promotion depends on that. Your salary also depends on that. So everything depends on that. So in the good old days, it was not like that. It is just you complete so many years, and then you become an associate professor. You complete so many years, and then you become an associate professor. Those days are gone. So you have to publish papers. Now, the publishing papers in the Indian context also is very important because most of our issues are entirely different. As I told you before, the virus here appears to be different. Similarly, for your information, more people have died in India in 2 districts of Uttar Pradesh, that is Gorakhpur in and around. More than 6,000 children have died of Jab B encephalitis. While here we are going into lockdown after lockdown after lockdown in fear of a illness which is probably leaving 2% of the public dead, and that too on the elderly. 40 lakh people die every year out of pulmonary tuberculosis. So I don't know why we are so much bothered about this virus. Not that I am saying I belong. I am also a member of the government's committee on this COVID. So what I would like to say is that the importance of research is now on the what should I say, on the tips of everybody's tongue, because everybody is reading newspapers. They are speaking again also about various acyclovir like drugs. They're speaking about pooled convalescent, pooled investigations, convalescent therapy, that thing, this thing, and also the common man is now more aware of these things. Hence, such meetings are very important. Such meetings are very important, and it is to impress the juniors. That see, the juniors should know one thing: that don't try to cook up things. Don't try to cook up things. You try to cook up things means probably tomorrow you are spoiling data. You understand? That see, you just see, we have this habit of saying to do. In nowadays, they'll test 20 people and then say that they've tested 200 people. Those days are also over now, because tomorrow you send in a sample saying that I have tested 200 people. It would be possible for us to verify who those 200 people are. It's easy. It would be easy, because now we can locate people very easily, and then we could just put a question to that person: have you submitted to this test or not? So you can't cook up RCTs, or you can't cook up all those things like that. So we are entering into a new era whereby now all facts can be verified, data can be verified, and the research has got its own importance in India. Finally, I would like to say this, because we have got now I am only speaking from the field of medicine because I belong to that, and we have got our own data available with us, and that data cannot be interpolated with the data in the West, because both are different. That is why you have 1 lakh people dying in New York and hardly 5 people dying in Kerala. So that is data. So that is the importance of having data in the form of any type, as already the paper presented here has said. Once again, I congratulate all the faculty, the members who are participating, and especially our principal there, Mahin, our secretary, Dr. Najib, and of course the man behind the show who's sitting there, Mr. Nadir, who is the person who is conducting this webinar. Once again, thanking all of you. Thank you.
May I stop now?
That is good.
Yes, yes, right. You can.
All right.
Sir, continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience, sir. Thank you for your patience.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being patient, and so the president was helping us. And thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being with us. And Eid Mubarak to you, sir.
കുഴപ്പമില്ലല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ ഒന്നും അറിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ സംസാരിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ?
All right. Yeah. So I stopped here, right? Okay. Yeah. So most of the journals, they have the structure of this IMRAD setup. Okay. So that is introduction, methods, results, and discussion at the end with the conclusion. Yeah. So what is the major difference between journal-based science writing and the diverse form of writing found elsewhere is very limited scope of our medium. Okay. A specific scientific community, so it's not a random of humanity, but a group that shares an established and understand basic scientific background, broadly agreed upon a set of common goals and already established set of mechanisms for the communication of information. Okay. So by following this, the structure, okay, the following these standard structure and organization of science research article, one author can be constrained in many respects. But these constraints free the author and the reader to focus on the content, which often results in better as a better paper. Okay. So the standard structure of any scientific paper have the similar kind of IMRAD formats. We call it the IMRAD format. Okay. So this format is so ubiquitous because often surprising to see a paper that significantly deviates from it. There are many variations on this theme, and the structure is meant to advance the goal of communication, never hinder it. And there are two main advantages, I should say. Okay. So I mean of this IMRAD structure. Okay. So first one is it makes it easier for the writer to organize the content of the paper. Okay. So this is one of the advantage, I could say. And the another one is it makes easier for the reader to opportunistically find the information they want, actually they're looking for. So this is how the structure of a manuscript will look like. Okay. So all right. So yeah, let's move to the introduction. Okay, in standard rhetoric, okay, so the introduction section should answer mainly two questions. Okay, the first one is what and so what. So what is the paper about and why should the reader care? Okay, and the scientific journal paper is a specialized form of rhetoric, and so we use a more specialized format for our introduction. But answering these two questions still require. Okay, thus an introduction should inform the reader as to what the paper is about and motivate the reader to continue reading. Okay, so this is how we should address a paper introduction. Okay, so if you address like that way, actually, then only that will like make the reader to go through your article, or else they won't show interest to read your article. So these are should the question should be addressed while writing the introduction part. Yeah. So these are some important points to be considered while writing the introduction part. Okay. So first thing, the content of the paper must match with the scope of the journal. Okay. So it's not like when you're writing, it even though it's not matching with the because sometimes you submit to one journal, so it will get rejected, and when you submit to another journal, then you need to slightly change the content, okay, according to the journal scope. Okay, then there are chances for the manuscript to get accepted to publish in the journal. So first, most important thing, you should match your introduction with the scope of the journal. And the other point is the quality of the paper. Okay, so yeah, so obviously this is a most important point. Okay, so if there's no quality, and it will be difficult to consider for publication. So the quality of the paper, that is method and the execution of research as well as the writing. Okay, so it must be sufficiently high, and it must be present with novel results. Okay, so you should always give what is the novelty in your work. Okay, and you can also give the highlights part of your research work, and it can be given as a in the the introduction part, how your paper, what it's talking about, what is new in that paper. Okay, so that is more important in the introduction part. And the other thing is the results must be significant enough to to be worth reading. So if the result is not significant to or having enough information, then it will not be worth for publishing. So there won't be considered for publish. So always so these are the main things that one should give importance while writing the introduction part. Okay, so the next one is the research. Okay. So, but I should say this is the main 4 criteria. Okay, the author should clearly lay claim to 3 of these in the introduction, scope, novelty, as I said, significance, and the quality is implied and should be demonstrated, not explicitly claimed. Okay, so that is more important. The basic flow of the introduction should start with the general and then moves to the specific. Okay, so it should start with the general information, then move to in detail about what is what. It should be like a cascade, as I told you. Okay, it should flow like a storytelling. Okay, so that is more important. Before start writing, one should read at least 20-30 articles, and some people will be liking some authors because the way they write. Okay, they write like a story. So with the basic ideas, so one can have some more information about how to start with the introduction. So it's more, and the more important thing is you need to read lots and lots of paper. That is more important. Other than that, it's very, very difficult to write any kind of introduction, because every person writing style is different. So I'm not going to teach you how to write. So I'm going to tell you how you can improve your writing skills. So that is how, because writing cannot be same for everyone. So my way of writing will not be same like yours. So the most important thing is what the readers are going to find from your paper. That is more important. Okay, so we should keep in mind. So this paper is going to be read by someone, can be a dummy, okay, a beginner, or he doesn't know. So yeah, so we can call it the dummies. Okay, so you can say your manuscript, your articles for dummies. So who reads it, they should understand what is there in that. Okay, that is more important. Yeah. So the research article introduced moves with the 3 phrases. Okay, the 3 phases. Okay, first one is establish a territory. Okay, so what is the field of the work, and why the experiment? Why is this a field important, and what has already been done? Okay, so every time you compare these things. Okay, these things. Okay, so what is the difference between before work and your work? Okay, and establish a niche. So in this area, you can indicate a gap, raise a question or challenge prior work in this territory. Okay, so you can put questions so what is the gap between earlier work and or how the gap will be filled with your paper, okay, your article, okay, so that you need discuss in a way so that will attract the readers to know, okay, so there has been few work has been done in this area, so now this is kind of further more one step forward to give more information about the research. So like that way, you can give some information about your work in the introduction part and occupy that niche, okay, so outline the purpose and announce the present research, okay, so that can be optionally summarize the result, okay, you can give a summarized information of your results at the end of the introduction part. And yeah, so and also I missed to say some here for so that's an alternative formulation of these three parts, okay, of the introduction uses topic, okay, problem, a solution, or topic or observation, discovery, explanation, okay. Some articles finish the introduction by presenting an outline of the article. So the section headings, themselves are more effective than creating a table of contents in prose form. Because don't try it that way. Okay. Yeah. Some common pitfalls in writing an introduction include providing unnecessary background information, telling the readers what they already know or what they do not need to know. Okay. So exaggerating the importance of the work or failing to make clear what research questions your paper is trying to answer. This is more important. As I told you, so these are the important things you should keep while writing your introduction part. Okay, let's move to the method. Okay, so the method section, okay, sometimes called materials and method. Okay, so this describes how the results were generated. Okay, yeah, so it should be sufficiently detailed so that an independent researcher, as I said, any dummies, okay, working in the same field, okay, maybe he's a beginner, so he also wants to know, so it should be the results sufficient to allow validation of the conclusions. So often, this does not require explicit step-by-step instruction, but rather reference to prior publication that provide such details. For some research article, it is the method that is novel. For this case, yeah, much more detailed description is required for standard or well-established methods. Naming the method may be sufficient. Yeah, so let us parse the requirement of sufficient detail a little more carefully. There are really two integral goals at our workplace. Okay, in this article writing, the reader should be given the ability to reproduce the results and the ability to judge the results. Okay, and the next one is, although very few readers attempt a replication of another's experiment, most careful readers attempt to judge the validity of the work they are reading. Internal validity means conclusion plans are supported by the results presented. External validity refers to the degree that the conclusion can be generalized rather than being applicable only to the narrow confines of one work. Without a carefully written method section, it becomes impossible to access the validity of the work. Okay, so yeah, so a method is used here more broadly than an experiment method. The method can include the development of a theory, either as necessary background or as a novel element of the paper, or we can say the establishment of a specific device design, or the development of or description of a modeling tool to be used. Okay, so a common variation of the IMRAD structure, that IMRAD, as I told you, the IMRAD structure separates the theory into its own preceding section before moving on to the experiment method. So a good method section should not only describe what was done and how it was done, okay, but it should also justify the experimental design as well. the many options available. Why was this method chosen? Okay, so we should always like give the why this method was chosen and what are the statistical considerations, such as sampling plans and the analysis methods. There's all things will be like so in should be explained in detail in the methods. Okay. If there are like any raw data, like raw results are not going to be presented, then the data reduction procedure also required. So also consider how a figure or diagram might be used to illustrate or summarize the method. Sometimes we can mention our program, or you can mention if you use ANOVA test, you can mention that ANOVA test. Okay, so those information you can put it there in the method. All right. Yeah. So this is a common so shortcoming of method section in many papers today is the abandonment of goal of reproducibility. Okay. Usually citing economy as a driving principle, method section are offered brief and lacking in detail. Rarely does a method section explain why one approach was chosen over another. Nobody reproduces other people's work anymore, or so the thought goes. Okay. All right. Okay. So other we can say pitfalls method section is including the research in the method section, including extraneous details unnecessary to enable the reproducible of judge validity, or treating the method as a chronological history of so what happened. Okay, so this is how so your medicine method should be made. Okay, so this is more important as well, because the readers always wants to know what kind of methodology has been adopted and what is the reason to adopt that kind of methodology. That is also more important. And also as I mentioned what are the statistical methods that has been used, and what are the formulas that has been used. So those information one can put it there in the medicine sections. All right, so coming to the final one, the results and the discussion. Okay. This is the most important core of the manuscript, because here we should give our results in the proper way, and also the results should be discussed in a proper way, so the readers will understand and also the reviewer who reviews your paper, okay, your manuscript, they will also understand how you compare your data with existing or data or papers already in your field. So the results of a paper, if included as its own section, should be very short. It is simply a presentation of the results obtained corresponding to the methods. Okay, that is so where we spoke about the methods. Okay, organized to make them accessible to the reader. Often these results are presented as tables. Okay, so and the graphs. That is more important. Most of the time we just write lots and lots of information over the research discussion. Instead of that, it's always good to represent all those information as a table or a graph or as a picture. Okay, so that is going to attract the readers, as well as control the page limits of the manuscript, because some journals will have the page limits, also the word limit. So in order to overcome that, one can represent their data as tables or graphs. Okay, well-crafted tables and figures require very little in terms of supporting text in the body of the paper. So the results are usually combined with the discussion of them in the results and discussion section. So an important goal when presenting results is to clearly designate those results that are new, actually, so novelty, we can say, while properly citing results that have been previously published. That is a very important one. When you give some results when you discuss with there, so you need to properly give reference, okay, citation, so one can go through it and they can find okay, so similar kind of work already has been done by someone, and these are the results they have got, and this is something new from their old paper. So it's always important, like, give citations of the previously issued, like, papers. So, yeah. So, and yeah, discussion sections. Okay, this is more important. The discussion section involves the, a format of the introduction, moving from the specific, okay, that is the result generated in this work, to general, how these results demonstrate a general principle that is more, widely applicable. Any problems or shortcomings, so encore during the course of work should be, like, also be discussed, especially if they might influence how results are to be, like, interpreted. Some common pitfalls, I could say, the results are, like, so lack of organization, or, like, presenting the results that are never discussed, and presenting discussion that does not relate to any of the results, and presenting results and discussion in a chronological order rather than the logical order, ignoring the results that do not support the conclusions, or drawing conclusion from, results without sound logical arguments to back them up. So the discussion part is, like, very important. Okay. The last one, like the conclusion part. Okay. The conclusion section, okay, provides a brief summary of the experiment, that you have done and what you have got as a result, and the discussion part, okay. But it should not be more than a summary, okay. So after showing how each research question posed in the introduction has been addressed, the implication of the findings should be, like, emphasized, explaining how the work is significant. The goal here is to, like, provide most general claims that can be supported by the evidence, and this conclusion section should be, like, reader focused, okay, avoiding, like, a list of all the things like we have done that, I did this one. So it should not be, like, used this way. You should, like, give in a general way, like, how the work was, like, executed, and what are the outcomes of the the results, okay, the experiment. Okay, the conclusion should allow for opportunity reading when writing this section. Okay, so imagine a reader who reads the introduction, skims through the figure, and then they jumps to the conclusion. Okay, so the conclusion should be, like, concisely provide the key messages the authors wishes to convey. Okay. So it should not repeat the arguments made in the results and discussion, or either in the, like, so in the introductory part. So only the final and most general conclusions, it should be, like, in that way. Okay. So while the results and discussion section is often quite long, the conclusion section is generally, can be short form. The second, goal of conclusion is to, like, provide a future perspective. You should, like, always give, like, what can be, like, done further. Okay, so it's always should be, like, future perspective on the, like, so your work. This could be the recommendation to the audience or the readers, okay, to, like, do some future work. All right, yeah, some, like, there are, like, some pitfalls when writing the conclusion, or so that is, like, repeating the abstract, or repeating the background information from the introduction part, as I told you, and introducing new evidence or new arguments not found in the discussion, repeating the arguments made in the results and discussion, or like, failing to address all the research questions that, so when you're, like, making in the outline of your work, okay, so where you'll get, missed all those things. So because a conclusion should be more than just a summary, so a conclusion as a title for this section should be a summary. Okay. All right, next, let's go to, like, this figures and tables. Okay, so what are these? Why these, like, figures and tables are going to be, like, important for in your research paper? While, okay, figures are, like, also extremely important part of any scientific publication, because it is rare. It's like a rare paper that contains no figures. Okay, so every paper comes with some, like, figures and tables. Yeah, so that is how we are going to, like, make the tables and papers. That is more important. So that should be, like, have some logic, and also it should be like, innovative, and should not be like, general tables, because most of the papers, so they don't want, like, readers don't want to have information about something they already know. So it's always good to, like, present in a good way, because it's always the figure. Okay, so when there's a good kind of like figures there, so it will make the reader to understand, and also, like, get some idea about, like, what the work is about. So always, like, give importance to, like, representing most of the data or content of your paper as the tables and as figures. Okay, because this is going to help you to, like, give, like, because no need to, like, include lots and lots of information as including in your manuscript. Rather, you can put as, tables, so it will be, like, more convenient for the authors, I mean, like, the readers to read, and also, like, easy to cite. All right, because almost all scientific publishing include, quantitative information to be reasoned about. Figures are almost, like, always necessary. Okay, so yeah, so why the figures are important? Okay, excuse me. Yeah, so but like, all forms of communication, graphs, yeah, so graphics can be used to explain and clarify, but also to confuse or deceive. So the first rule of graphics is a simple one. They must be, like, help to reveal the truth. Just a disorganized writing often indicates a disorganized thinking, or a chart, your flow chart kind of like information can, give the data information. Usually means the author, would not deviate the information from their presentation. All right, let's move to what the graph can do. Here are some of the important goals of using graphic for communication in a scientific publication. Okay, so why the graph? Okay, so important. Okay, so to document the data. Okay, so a graph is often the only place the data get published. Okay, so make a comparison. Okay, such as displaying trends. So one can, like, compare from one with another. So it will be more easy for the reader to read. Okay, allow for inference of cause or an effect, and it tell a story, or at least be an integral part of the tale, and integrate with the text to enhance the overall communication of the paper. And yeah, so the first choice is, like, designing a graphic as what data to present. So displays of evidence implicitly but powerfully define the scope of the relevant as presented data or selected from a larger pool of material. Like magicians, the chart makers reveal what they choose to reveal. Okay, that's this first choice is probably the most important, because it defines what the graph will and will not be about. Okay, so graphs should communicate the essence of the results from the paper and not get bogged down in detail. Okay, let's see, like, what is the importance of the tables. Okay, so tables is also, as I mentioned, like, earlier. Okay, the tables also important for MES, because tables present data directly and preferred over graphs when the exact numerical values of the data are needed. Still, like, tables often have a goal similar to that for figures, enabling comparisons. Okay, and when presenting data in 2 or more dimensions, the layout and the order of the table entries can, like, make a huge difference in the ability of the reader. Okay, to make the proper comparison to see the important trends. It is easier for a reader to compare numbers arranged within a row than within a column. So it is also, like, easy to compare numbers that are close to each other, so, like, preferably, like, next to each other. So different journals have different format for tables. Okay, for example, many journals allow only horizontal lines in the table. So before submitting your manuscript, review the table formatting guidelines. So every journal has their own kind of, like, instruction to the author. So like, if you have, like, a plan or, like, pre-planned journal looking for, you should, like, always, like, prepare your manuscript according to the journal. Okay, so don't write the article and submit to journals. First, like, look up like what kind of journal that you're targeting, and prepare your manuscript according to the journal scope. Okay. Yeah. So your table running to like good in a preferred style may not work so well in the journal. So it's always like want to like decide like what kind of like table they are going to like present in the manuscript. All right, the last and the most important part is the abstract and title, because yeah, so the abstract and title is going to be like more important, because in the era of like online searches and digital libraries, the importance of a good title and abstract of for a article is more and more important. Okay, so giving name for a child, how important. Similarly, giving title of the paper is also more important. Okay. Yeah. So, but still, like bad titles or poorly written abstracts are like exceedingly common in scientific and technical literature. So, in this like yeah, so we can like think about like how can we avoid like bad naming of the articles. So probably like from the earlier articles, as I told you earlier. Okay, so you need to read more number of articles. Okay, then you like find out like what would be the ideal title for your manuscript. Obviously, like your manuscript will be having the title from the data as what you generated, what the extent that you have done. Okay, but still certain kind of like information you can get it from the previous published articles. So, but it should not be like get overlapped with their titles. The purpose of title and abstract is often like described as selling the paper. Okay, so you should know like how to marketing. Here you need to like use the marketing skill, like it's like selling the information, and so you want to like impress the because it's going to be the title, right? Like because it's a title, so you should like give a catchy or like trendy or informative. So you can like try in any way, either this way. Okay, so that's more important actually. Yeah. So let's see like so what are the information should be there in the abstract part. Okay, so the abstract should be like concise. Okay, and should have a background, like what motivated you to like do the experiment and what is the context. Okay, so the abstract should also like have a aim, objectives, and like so what kind of like problem that you solve. Okay, that also like you can like put it there in the abstract. And also you can like mention like some basic information about like what kind of methodology that you use, and also you can like give so some materials that if it's like some new materials that you use, you can inform. I mean, like you can inform there in the article. Okay, and the other parts like results and conclusion that so obviously. Okay, so what the background should have. Okay, so in the background you should like one should like give what issues led to this work. Okay, what made you to like do this experiment. Okay, and what is the environment that makes this work interesting or important. Okay, so why this work is important. So you should also like give the background of the experiment that you have done, and the aim could be like what did you plan to achieve in this work. Okay, what gap is being like filled. That is more important, because always like the abstract is going to be like summary of your experiment. Okay, and so what next the author is going, I mean the reader is going to read, it should be there in the abstract as well, because after reading the abstract only like they will show interest whether to read the article or not. Also, like when they read your article, then only they will give citation, then only your H index or the Scopus index will get increased. So it is more important to write the abstract in a proper way. Okay, so the approach. Okay, so how did you set like about achieving your aims that you need to like explain. Okay, so you can share some information about like the experiment method or the simulation approach or like theoretical approach or anything like combination of all of these. Okay, and actually like you also should say like what did you actually do. Okay, so that is also more important. Okay, in the results actually like in the abstract you can give some a few lines about like what are the main results of this study. Okay, so you can say okay 90% of the drug shown like 90% inhibition on these microorganisms. So or else like the plant has been like after like adding this kind of like gibberellin or things, so the plant has been like the height has been increased, the crop yield has been increased, the fruit so you can give the kind of the percentage. Okay, the numbers you can put. Okay, And the conclusion part, okay, so what were your main conclusion, okay? So what are the results? Why are the results important? And so where will they lead? Okay, so that is very important to put in the abstract, okay? So you have to mention also what is the outcome of your work, okay? So what can be done, actually what can be done in the future, okay? So that can be mentioned in the abstract part. Okay, so once the abstract is finished, okay, so it's time to write the title, okay? So we are going to complete this process, okay, of writing the manuscript, okay? So it is it's probably impossible to define a universal procedure, okay? There's no any universal procedure for writing the title, okay? That's why I told you, okay? So you can find anything trendy, catchy, which can attract the readers, okay? So for this, there's no any no universal procedure or kind of any kind of has been set to give a title, okay? However, you can use different kind of ideas. There are some basic guidelines, however, that make use of structured abstract to guide the critical title. In general, the title should be reflect the aim and approach of the work, as I told you, okay? So it should reflect what work you have done, and from the data you generated from the aim and the the results. With that, actually you can give the title of the article, okay? And the very, very important thing is giving keywords, okay? The most important idea behind identifying keywords to be listed under the abstract as subject terms is simple. If you're looking for an article on exactly the topic of your manuscript, what words would you type into search engine in order to find it? Obviously, okay? So for example, if you want to read some article about about coronavirus, I could say, actually. So now what kind of keywords you can put it here on the Google search engine or in the Web of Science, WS, or in the PubMed, like COVID-19, coronavirus, vaccine, right? And drugs, or you can put India, or you can put Britain, you can put China, okay? So these are some keywords, because you cannot type just in general, okay? What is coronavirus and what is vaccine available, okay? So you don't want to give all those things, okay? So the keywords going to help you fetch information from the database, okay? So giving keywords to your manuscript is more important, okay? So after you have a good list of keywords, go back and look at your title and abstract. Are these keywords found in the title and abstract? If not, someone searching for your article may easily miss it. So it's more important, okay? So if you want somebody to miss your manuscript to not read, article not to read, then you'll be not getting your citations. And if you're not getting citation, your H index will not get more. So if your H index is very low, you will not be get highly paid, okay? So this everything is interconnected. So most important thing is also giving the appropriate keywords for your manuscript, okay? All right, yeah, so yeah, this is another important part, okay? So most of the time, even I used to get so many emails from students for joining a research group for doing PhDs. So they just send their resume. There won't be any subject. They will say PFA. That means please find attachment. Okay, that this kind of kind of information is really not good actually, and also that makes the editor feel uncomfortable, that possibly lead you to reject your manuscript, okay? So writing a covering letter is more important, okay? That is going to help you to help the editor to understand what you have done, and what is going to be there in your paper, and what is the reason he need to read your manuscript, okay? Because they won't just read your manuscript, but after reading your covering letter, that he will show interest to read your manuscript, okay? So your cover letter is format like a standard business letter and addressed to the editor-in-chief. It should be succinct and focused, not longer than one page, and containing everything needed for the editors to make whether he to decline or send out for pre-edition. So the cover letter is more important, okay? Yeah, start with the standard business letter, opening greeting, okay? So you can say, respected or dear editor-in-chief. Okay, so greetings. Okay, so this kind of like greetings from you can put like XX University or XX college. Okay. Then in the body, supply the following structure with one or at most two sentences for each topic. Okay, like these are the basic information should be there in the like covering letter. Okay, so the manuscript information. Okay, so there should be like title of the submitted manuscript and type of article. Okay, so you should like mention whether it's like full length paper or review paper or a short communication. Okay, so all this information should be there in the after the title. Okay, for example, sir, so like this is been like a research group submitting this exact article. Okay, for the possible publication. Okay, so like that you can like start with. Okay, so there are like plenty of like covering letters available online. Also, like you get like one from yourself or get advice from your professor. Okay, mostly like guides or the supervisor used to write the cover letters. However, like you one can also try to like make one by yourself. That is going to like help you for like in the future submission. Okay. Okay, if submitting to a special section, mention the special section name. Okay, and the problem being addressed, like what issues led to this work, as I mentioned there in the like abstract part, as you here also like so you have to mention like what made you to do this work and what gap is being filled. Okay, and what is the broader context for this work. Okay, and the most important thing while giving the cover letter, you need to like mention what is the novelty of the work. Okay, so you should like say what is new in your work, not previously published. Okay, to our knowledge, this is the first report showing. Like that, you can like give something if you are really having some novelty in your work. Okay, and and also you can add like what is the significance of the work. Okay, why is the novel content mentioned about important? Okay, so also what is the potential impact of the like so to the field. Okay, and also you should like mention in the cover letter like how the manuscript is going to fit into the journal. Okay, so because sometimes that editor in chief or the editor may think, okay, so your manuscript might not like fit into the scope of the journal. So you always like should give like justification like why you submit to the journal. Okay, so why does this work belong in and like appeal to the readership of this journal, and how publication of this manuscript benefit the journal? That is more important. So you can like always mention like how the journal will get benefited. Okay, actually the most important thing is read the author's instruction before like start submit. I mean like before start writing or submitting your manuscript. Okay, because you need to get familiar with the like journal, what is the scope of the journal. Okay, mention if this paper builds on a previous paper published in this journal or otherwise directly linked to a paper published in this journal. Okay, so you can mention, okay, so this is a continuation of the earlier paper published in your journal. So like that you can mention, or else like you can like directly you can submit, so you can like mention. Okay, yeah. So the other one is double publication. The manuscript has not been, so you need to like this is the most important part. Okay, so here the manuscript you need to mention this manuscript has not been, excuse me, this manuscript has not been previously published and is not currently in press or under review or being considered for publication by another journal. Okay, this is most important because you are going to give the information to the editor to make sure that this article is not like published or like being considered in any other journal. Okay, so keep in mind like while writing cover letter, these are the important things one should be like addressed. Okay, and the other one is the author approval. Okay, so here you should like give like conflict of interest of like all the authors. Okay, so all authors have read and approved the manuscript being submitted and agree to its submittal to this journal. Okay, so all the authors should like agree themselves to like submit. And these days actually it's very easy because every authors who are like authors like used to get emails from once the manuscript is submitted. So if there are any kind of like controversy or kind of like conflicts, they can like reach their chief. Okay, finally end with the standard letter ending, including the name and the contact information for the corresponding author. Okay, all right. Yeah, so this is a very bad thing in research because copying or like or like taking somebody's ideas and using for that is without giving proper citation is really bad in research. Okay, so plagiarism remains a difficult and important issue in scientific publishing. Okay, so plagiarism is generally defined as taking another's ideas or the published papers, right? Their images and so their words or represent them as one's own. Okay. Okay, so while copying text without quoting, okay, without quoting means you should properly give citation of the person. For example, if you're taking some information from some article, okay, so you need to this the source, okay, or the reference of the person who published the work, okay, that should be properly given citation, or else that's going to make problem for your manuscript. Okay, these days it's not that easy like before. Okay, because every manuscript should be undergo plagiarism check before it get to the editor. Okay, so these days everything's an automated system. So once you submit the manuscript, it automatically matches with the software. Okay, so it goes and fetches wherever you get copied. Okay, from there the shows, okay, this manuscript has been 90% plagiarism or 80% plagiarized. Okay, and also it shows from where the information has been taken. They will also come to know to the editor, so that then your article may likely to get rejected, or sometimes that may be taken actually serious action of the person who submitted. Okay, or they will keep record of your yearly publication. Also they will go through it, they will complain to the institution or the working place where you're associated with it, and they may take strict disciplinary action on the faculty or the person who submitted the manuscript. Okay, so this is most important. So all right, so what are the so we have to consider while copying text. Okay, it's never allowed. Okay, but the magnitude of the problem depends on several important factors. Okay, first one is was the source of the copied text cited. Okay, so whether if you copy, whether you have given citation of that. Okay, if the lack of citation is considered evidence of an intent to deceive, as opposed to carelessness or poor writing practice. Okay, and also it will find how many sentences were copied. Okay, the greater the amount of copying is greater the offense. Okay, so these days there are plenty of softwares available for doing this plagiarism check. Okay, and yeah, so we cannot do any kind of things these days. Okay, and also was there paraphrasing or merely an attempt or to disguise copying. Okay, one can avoid plagiarism by proper paraphrasing, but slight changes to a word or two of a copied sentence are not the same as rewriting in your own words. Okay, so that is okay. If you're rewriting the information of others, it's fine, but still you need to give citation of that person. Okay, note that paraphrase passages still require a citation to the original. Okay, is any of the copied text claimed to be a novel aspect of the paper? Copying limited to background material or method section is still plagiarism, but not as a copying, because sometimes the method and medicine methodology may be similar to others' work, so that can be exempted. So it's not going to be a big issue, but still copying exactly what others have did is really going to be a issue. Okay. All right, so now let's see. Actually, these are now so far we have seen what are the things to be considered while writing a manuscript, and after writing a manuscript or before writing a manuscript, we want to choose the journal. So it's based upon this most important thing. Okay, so one should not go with the journals without having a CA, because this is what all the institutions or the universities looking for. Okay, so SCI stands for Science Citation Index, a multidisciplinary citation index. The larger version, Science Citation Index, expanded SCIE. So it covers more than 9,000 plus significant journals across the 177 scientific disciplines from 1900 to the present. Okay, so while choosing journals, always find whether the journal is SCA or not. Okay. Because most of the universities or the institutions abroad, as well as in India, these days they're looking for the person who is having papers published in SCA journals, not in any general journals. Okay, even a UG's care list is changing every now and then. So don't stick with the UG's care listed journals. Always go for a journal which is having which is indexing, which is having the science citation index. All right. And similarly, okay, so for social sciences also, there's a citation index like the SCI, all right, so which covers like more than 3,000 plus academic journals across 57 disciplines in the social sciences subject. Okay, so if you're engineering, also look for some journals with IEEE and Scopus. Yeah, so there are, but still, like, so the first important, most important thing, one will check, like, whether the journal having SC or not. So impact factor, it can be that may differ, because like it depends upon like how many times the citation has been done from the journal, which going to help the journal to achieve the impact factor. Okay, so that may change. This year maybe, for example, one journal has like 5 impact factor. Next year it can be like 4, or it can be like 6 impact factor, because it depends upon like how many people read the articles, how many times that has been like cited. So impact factor may change every now and then. So we should not like bother about impact factor, but still some universities, they keep up the quality, so they always go with the more than 5. For example, my university, my actually like the university where I belong to, we used to like publish lots of papers, and we are number 1 in China for like publishing research papers, and we are moving towards like having top 1 university in China. So, and also the publishing is less than 5 impact factors is not allowed in our university. So always the article should be published more than 5 impact factors. So that's like big task. But however, like the work can be like made in the way, so the data can be like written in a good way, and also published in good impact factor journals. Okay. So that is also one can be considered. Okay, so first thing, one should like see whether the journal is SCI or SSCI, or if it's like having impact factor. Okay, so that can be done by JCR. So there's a journal citation report. So one can like Google it, where you can find all this information. And yeah, some universities like my university always like look for, actually there are different types of journals, like a Q1 journal, Q2, Q3. Okay, sometimes Q2 journals may be having good impact factor than the Q1, but still they keep up the quality. So they always say is the Q1 journals, so the quality 1 journal. So some universities always prefer to like publish only in Q1 journals. Okay, though it has SCI, though it has a impact factor, but it falls under Q1 journals, and some journals falls under Q2, some journals falls under Q3, Q4. So like that. So always like look for this information. Okay, if your university has kind of a criteria, so in which journal they want you to like publish. Okay, so that can be done from the JCR journal citation report. So once one can like Google and get information, more information about it. Okay, and yeah, so those journals indexed by SCA and the SCA are leading journals. The 2 indexes are available online through libraries, Web of Science platform. All right, so are you all with me? Hello? Are you all with me? I do have like some.
Yes. Right, sir. Continue.
Yeah. So do you want me to continue more, or like
Please continue, Rajesh.
Sir, continue.
All right. Okay.
Please continue. Please continue.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. So I do have like a few more slides. I'm going to show you like some of the tips. Okay, this you can call 100 tips. Okay. This is going to help you. Okay, so whatever like that master that you are going to prepare. Okay, so yeah. So if you're like planning for a manuscript, okay, so one can like consider these 100 tips. Okay, I'm going to give a quick read. Okay, so probably like you can have a snapshot or something, or it's already available online, so you need not to like worry about this. So what are the information what I am sharing through this PowerPoint? My presentation is already available online, so nothing is mine. Actually, like it can be like reproduce. So anyone wants to have Sorry, hello.
Sir, please, sir, continue. Sir, continue, please.
All right, yeah. Okay, so there, so first the tip is, okay, the research paper topic should be unique, and that should be a logical reason to study it. Okay, and yeah, so before like doing that, do your homework. Make sure you know what investigators in your field and other fields have published about your topic. Okay, so you should always get informed through like updating yourself from various journals of your interest. Okay, So get updated whether so whether there's overlap of the topic. Okay, so there is no subtitle for a good literature review before jumping into a new project. Okay. Take the time to plan your experimental design. As a general rule, okay, more time should be devoted to planning your study than to actually performing the experiment. Okay, so that is more important. Okay, so you should always time you are spending for doing, also spend time for study the other research papers. Okay. Rushing into hands-on work without properly designing the study is a common mistake made by young researchers. Okay. So don't do that. Okay. When designing your experiment, choose your materials wisely. Look to the literature to see what others have used, and find similar products from different companies. Do not all work. Looks like some do not work at all. Okay, if you're working with the antigens or antibodies, or you're working with multiple kits or DNA preparation kits. Okay, some kits won't work. So always make sure your products doing good. Okay. And get help. Okay, if you're performing research techniques for the first time, be sure to consult an experienced friend or a colleague. Okay, and yeah, so you can always keep networking. Okay, so have good networking with other people through their research gate. All right, and also keep a good relationship with your supervisor. Okay, so they can help you to guide all these things. Also, if you have any doubts or if you have any issues, there's a online research gate group. Actually, it's a social networking of researchers where you can put your questions, and you can also keep following the person whom you're interested with their research paper or with their keywords. Okay, so then they can you can join the forum, and you can always discuss about what are the problem that you are facing for conducting your experiment. Okay, yeah, so in that way you can get help from others. Okay, yeah, and the 6 points: know what you want to study. Okay, why you want to study it, and how your results will contribute to the current pool of knowledge for the subject. Okay, so what you are going to contribute to the research community, that is more important. Okay, so before doing that, you should know what you are going to do actually, why you want to do it. So that should be planned properly before doing your experiment. Okay, and yeah, be able to clearly state a hypothesis before starting your work. Okay, focus your efforts on researching this hypothesis. Okay, all too often people start a project and or taken adrift by new ideas that come along that way. All right, so while ideas are good to note, be sure to keep your focus. Okay, be focused. All right, along with keeping focus on your experiment endpoint, so you should know where to end your experiment. Okay, so if you don't know, then it will be very complicated and one cannot complete the task in time. So sometimes data collection goes smoothly, and you want to dig deeper and deeper into the subject. Okay, if you want to keep digging deeper, do it with a follow-up study, or else you will be missing the information. So always keep up the follow-up things to to dig more information or to dig more results. Okay. Keep in mind where you might like to publish your study. That is more important. Okay, so as I told you, choose SCA or SCIE. If your source sciences, look for SSCI journals. Okay, so if you're aiming for a high impact journals, you may need to do extensive research and data collection. If your goal is to publish in your lower tier journals, your research plan may be very different. Okay, so always so you should aim for the quality, as I mentioned, Q1 journals quality, Q1 journals we call actually. So you target a Q1 journals with high impact factors and also SCIE or SCI. Okay. All right. Okay, so if a study requires approval by a review board or ethical committee, be sure to get the documentation needed, because the journals often require that you provide such information, because there is more in the ethical committee information if you are working with some animal models. Okay, so one need to get approval from the ethical committee, then that should be properly documented while submitting your manuscript. Okay, if a study involves a patient or patient samples, explicit permission or general record from the participant or donor respectively. Okay, so when you're collecting some data from the patient, okay, so one need to get a permission from the patient, okay, or the person who's giving the information to you. Okay, journals may ask for copies of the of the corresponding document. So these are the things one should be carried out while submitting the manuscript. Okay. And yeah, so read and follow all of the guidelines for manuscript preparation listed for an individual journals. Most journals have very specific formatting style guidelines for the text body, abstract, images, tables, and reference. Okay, so always read the author's guidelines. Okay, for authors, they will be giving what is how to prepare the manuscript, how the introduction should be, all those information will be there when you go and find the instruction to authors in any kind of channels. Okay, and make sure there is a hypothesis. Okay, this is more important. Okay. Be sure to have one and state it clearly. Okay, this is after all why you are doing the research. Okay, so the hypothesis is more important. Without hypothesis, most of the papers will get rejected. And recently, actually, there was. Actually, I have a student. Actually, she has been to Canada for an exchange program. When she ran back, and she's supposed to publish 2 papers to get her PhD. And I was helping her, and she didn't mention no hypothesis in all in her paper. So I just asked her to put it there because it's most important for us to the editor to understand, also the readers to understand what is the hypothesis behind the work. Okay, so yeah, so always mention the hypothesis. Okay, write as though your work is meaningful and important. Okay, if you don't, people will not perceive it as meaningful and important. Okay. Use an external peer review service. Okay, I will go through some this is online. They mentioned but however you can get help of your seniors or your colleagues or friends. Okay, who are there actually you can get a help of take help of theirs, and you can all to make sure your manuscript is ready to go for submission. Okay. Rapid and expert peer reviews before you submit may significantly increase your odds and of getting your manuscript accepted for publication. Yeah, critique your own work. Okay, look for areas that reviewers might spot as weakness and either correct these areas or comment on them in your manuscript. Okay, leaving reviewers with fewer options for negative criticism. Yep, this is a very good information one should keep in mind. Yeah, so always put questions like a 5W1H, whatever information that you're put in there, and there's a discussion. Okay, apply 5W and 1H to know why, what, how. And so when you apply this, the same kind of information, the same kind of method only the reviewer will also put on your manuscript to review. Okay, so put all those things so it will be more easy for you to address all the information what you're putting there in your manuscript. Okay, so use that 5W and 1H method. Okay, so always present the study as a finished piece of work. Okay, so don't give an incomplete work, and so although you may suggest some future directions in your manuscript. Okay, otherwise you can be sure reviewers will suggest some additional research. Yep. So don't give a chance to the reviewer to do that. So always give a finished manuscript to the. Finished means I have given the condition, not in the way. Actually, finished means so this is what is, and mention the future. This will be continuing this way, so we can get this kind of results. You can give the future perspectives of the manuscript or your research work. Okay, yeah. So be painstaking. Okay, be thorough and patient with several rounds of editing of your work while considering all the tiny details of the specification requested by the journal. It will pay off in the end. Yeah, so it's painstaking. Yeah, so yeah, obviously so at the end, so eventually if you're having good papers, so probably you'll be getting a good position at top universities. So I told you if you're having good quality papers during your PhD, you'll be getting a good postdoc university, a top 100 university as I'm working now actually. So as I told, so 54th ranking out of 100 QS ranking university in the world. So probably if you're having good record of published papers, then probably you will get a payoff at the end. Okay, so focus. If you have a hypothesis to develop, be consistent to the end. Have substantial and convincing evidence to prove your theories. Okay, brainstorm your ideas and have a definite direction mapped out before beginning to write my article. Okay, and be focused. Okay. Okay, so write in a precise and accurate way. That is more important. Okay, don't give long sentences. The reader may find them difficult to follow. Okay, so this is more important thing. So don't give unnecessary information on your manuscript, which the readers might not be interested, or the editor might not be interested. Okay, give what exactly they need. Actually, there's this is like, exhibiting or like, showing off or showcase your like, information to others. So they may show interest on your work, and also they will appraise, like you will get appreciated by citing your work in their papers. Okay, so that way you will get like more number of citations. So in order to like, get that kind of like citation, one to like keep in their mind that your article should be precise and like, should be accurate. Team like spirit is an important attribute that contributes to successful publishing. Welcome advice from those around you with the potentially valuable input. No matter how competent you feel, having your work seen through a different lens may help to spot flaws that you were unable to identify. Okay, so you always like, work like a team, okay, and get advice from other people and inputs to like, yeah, so to keep your like, paper in a good shape. Okay, as a final step for completing your research paper, edit. Okay, so you need to like identify and correct on any and all mistake that you may have made. That's why, as I mentioned earlier, okay, so you need to have an outline, like, so if you have an outline, then you can like, skip these kind of like issues. And short papers are more likely to be read than long ones. Exactly. Okay, make a short papers, not like a long one, because they might actually, even like I don't read most of papers. I just like read the abstract and I just go through the like research and discussion. So sometimes it may not like show interest if there's a more number of pages are there, and it's like full length or like long papers. Okay, so try to make it as short as possible. Okay, select a descriptive title. Okay, that is more important, as I told before. Okay, flash and puns are like rarely appealing as they may seem at first. You are better off going simple and descriptive. Okay, this will also help you get cited. Okay, this every time you make sure like you're writing a manuscript get cited by other people. Okay, that is why you're writing, because that is going to help you to get more citation, which is going to help you to like get a as I say, like a good position or like salary increment or like promotion kind of thing. So always keep it in mind, like your paper should like properly get cited. So give a proper like a descriptive title to like attract the readers. Focus on the information the readers require when following your experiment. Okay, like a modeling description or data analysis, instead of like overloading them with details that might have been important during the study but are irrelevant for them. Okay, your paper should advance a particular line of research. It does not need to answer every remaining question about the topic. Okay, and also if you present your work at an like academic conference, prior to submitting it for publication, get approval or kind of like criticism from as many potential reviewers as possible. Okay, make sure your paper reads well. A bunch of choppy, simple sentence while grammatically correct is unpleasant to read. Okay, clear, concise, and like grammatically correct English. Okay. Non-native English speakers should always try to like arrange for a review by a native speaker. If you know someone with excellent proofreading skills and a JK about your research discipline, for example, biology sciences, ask them to help you out. If you don't know like someone who meets criteria, okay, so they have given this like, but you don't want to do all those kind of things. If you're rich, and you can, if you're affluent, you feel like project supporting you, you can try this kind of like services. Okay, there are 18 services, like there are many. Okay, so because I took the information from this page, so probably that's why they are offering this one. Okay, but I'm not like promoting that one. So I just like get the information from the online. All right. So yeah, so you'll save yourself from a great deal of frustration and lost time. So always I suggest like keep a good team networking. Okay, networking is more important in your field. So whatever field that you are, like try to make a good networking with some people, and ask them to like review your manuscript before going for submission, so they will give their input. Actually, that will help you to like make your manuscript in good shape. Okay, the body of the paper is about the central idea. Okay, central idea, and must show a thoughtful, comprehensive study of the research topic. Okay, it should be clearly written and easy to follow. It generally includes three main parts, like a methodology, research and data analysis, and discussion. All right. When referencing others' papers, do not simply reference work in the same way other papers have. Okay. If paper X says that paper Y showed a difficult specific results, check yourself to ensure that this is true before saying the same thing in your own manuscript, okay? The number of reputable authors who misunderstand their colleagues' findings is shocking, all right? So make sure that you're giving like proper reference of other people, okay? If you're in the process of running a follow-up experiment, or write your manuscript in such a way that it begs for the experiment where reviewers respond and request it you already with, already have it completed, okay? All right, so what should be there in the introduction part, okay? Start your article with comprehensive concise literature review of your exact subject, and highlight in which way your paper will make a new combination to the field, okay? Throughout your introduction, use the past tense, okay? Past tense, okay? Through your introduction, use the past tense. One exception to this, when you're speaking about generally accepted facts and figures. Example, heart disease is a leading cause of death, all right? Yeah. So you can use this kind of avoid using new acronyms, okay? They will simply confuse the readers. The introduction of research papers is extremely important. It generally presents a brief literature review of the problem and the purpose of your research work. It should be powerful, simple, realistic, and logical to engage the reader to read the full paper, okay? Avoid unnecessary long paragraphs. Break up your paragraphs into smaller and useful units, okay? Do not be afraid to use the headings into your introduction and discussion. Okay, in the materials and method, all right, yeah. Okay, in the material methods, okay, do not over explain common scientific procedure. For example, you don't need to explain how PCR or Western blotting work, just that you use the technique, okay? If you're using a novel technique, then you need to explain the steps, okay? So you know to say how the PCR machine works, but you can give what are the conditions that you use for the PCR machine to run, okay? Use third-person passive tense. For example, RNA was extracted from the cells. Compare this with we extracted RNA from the cells, okay? Be sure to mention from which companies you purchase any significant reagents for your experiments. When in doubt about how to report your measures and methods, look to papers published in recognized journals that use similar methods and our materials, okay? Do not mention sources of typical labwares because it's not necessary, okay? Like beakers, from where did you buy the beakers, strippers, pipette tips, all this information is not required, okay? And make sure your graphs and tables can, so this is the results part, okay? So the results part, make sure your graphs and tables can speak for themselves. A lot of people skim over academic papers. The results section should contain only results, no discussion, all right? And some journals, they ask to discuss along with the results. Some journals, they say, okay, results separately, discussion separate, okay? So it depends upon the journal. So you always have a look into your the journal's author's instruction before writing the manuscript. Do not repeat in words everything that your tables and graphs convey. You can, however, point out the key findings and offer some text that complements the findings. Be sure to number your figures and the tables according to general guidelines and refer to them in the text in the manner specified by the journal, okay? Clear to read graphs are essential. Do not overload graphs with the data. Make sure axis descriptions are not too small, okay? Because sometimes when in the graph, the y-axis, x-axis, they put the description will be put very too small, so it will be difficult for the readers to understand what has been put in the air on the graph, okay? And yeah, and the discussion part, okay? Your discussion section should be answer why you obtain the observed results, okay? Do not simply restate the results, also address why your results are important. That is how do they advance the understanding of the topic, all right? If multiple explanation for your results exist, be sure to address each one. You can favor one explanation, but be sure to mention alternative explanations if some exist, okay? If you don't, your reviewers will, okay? So make sure, okay? So be sure, you're not doing that one. Or the review will send you the maths with some comments, okay? Okay, if your research findings are suggestive and or supportive rather than then make sure to indicate so. Never overstate the importance of your research finding. Rather clearly point to their true significance, okay? So always give what are the importance in your research findings, and give the key I mean, like these days, they always journals, they always ask you to like give the highlights of your manuscript. Like, no, you should like give 5 key points. That is highlights. Okay. Also, these days they ask you to like give a image abstract. Okay, the abstract or the image format of the abstract of your work. So yeah, that way, like so give more information about your paper, and it will like easily get accepted by the journals. Okay. Understand the message of your paper. You may discover what message is only after a literature search. Okay, as is occasionally the case for some manuscript types such as case reports. Highlight how your research contributes to current knowledge in the field and mention the next steps or what remains. Feel free to explain why your research falsify current theories if that is the case. Okay, make sure that your discussion is concise and informative. If you ramble and include a great deal of unnecessary information, your paper will likely get rejected or at least be like locked upon less favorably. So make sure all these things. Okay, and the conclusion reference section. Okay, the importance of the conclusion section should not be overlooked. Okay, it includes a brief restatement of other parts of the research paper, such as the methodology, data analysis, and the results, and concludes the overall discussion. It should be brief, concise, and worth remembering. And the reference page is also important because references may change journal to journal. So I mean, reference. I mean, like the reference section, like the citation method. So it may change to journal to journal. Some journals they will ask ask us to like put the full name of the authors, or they put like last name of the author, or they put a dot comma, or some journals they put comma, they put the year after the names, or sometimes they put the year after the title. So everything will change. So that's why I advise you to like use EndNote or the Mendeley. Okay, so that's why I started with the initial. Okay, when I said like literature, when I mentioned about literature collection, literature reading. Okay, so the time, so it's good always you keep an EndNote or like in the Mendeley, or your own Excel file is also good if you prefer to do that. Okay, so then it will be more easier for you to like set your references according to the general format. Okay, so all references used as a sources of information in your research paper should be like mentioned to strengthen your paper and also avoid your work being considered plagiarized. Okay. Failure to include every obscure reference to a topic will not prevent publication. What will prevent publication is procrastination by insisting on including such references. Okay. Use bibliographic software such as I mentioned. Okay, EndNote or reference work. Okay. This will help you format your references section readily when you make changes throughout your paper after getting suggestions from friends, colleagues, or reviewers. Okay, so this is a very good actually software tool. Like one can use it for setting your references according to your journal format. Okay, and one is abstract. Okay, in your abstract, limit the amount of background information you provide. Try to give only what is necessary in a couple of sentences or less. Okay, never refer to figures or tables in your abstract. When writing an abstract, always use the past tense since you are giving a summary of what was done. One expression is if you mention future direction in your concluding statement. Write a clear and concise abstract. The reader has to understand the study rationale, the methods used, and the study findings. Many researchers will only ever read the abstract of your paper, so it must contain most of pertinent information. Be sure to check journals guidelines for abstract length. Many journals will not accept abstract more than 250 words. Okay, so most of the journals accept the more the abstract with words of 250. And yeah, so feel free to hook readers with a big picture statement to open the abstract. Remember, many action editors will know very little about your topic area, and in some cases, your abstract will be the only thing that dictates whether or not you get through triage. Okay, so and the most important thing is like journal selection. Okay, the most common mistake to be made is not knowing the body of research in which an article fits. Wrong choice of journal for publishing spells outright rejection. Even if the article is very encouraging with sound and rigorous scholarly work, it will not stand the test. All right. Look at journals that have published articles on your topic previously. Okay, this is an encouraging sign that your work may appeal to the journal's editors. Look at the journal impact factors, as I mentioned before. Okay, this will give an idea of the quality of the journal and how difficult it will be to get your paper accepted. Look at journal acceptance and rejection rates. Okay, there are sometimes, but not always, inversely, correlated with the impact factor values. Okay, so it may change every now and then, so you need not really bother about like what's happening with the impact factors. But however, going with the good impact factor is always advisable. Look at the average time to publication as well as average time to acceptance or rejection notification. If you want your work published fast, then make sure you choose a journal that offers rapid processing. Some journals will highlight their rapid processing times as in like impetus for authors to submit their work to those particular journals. Some journals charge fees for manuscript processing or color figure reproduction for access manuscript. Make sure you are familiar with the cost associated with the publication before you submit your work. This is more important, okay? So these days, open access journals are there. Open access journals used to charge money for processing manuscript. So that's why I told you before start writing your manuscript, read the author's instruction carefully before you start with the manuscript or submission or whatever, okay? Yeah, so the manuscript submission, okay? Look at papers recently published in your journal of interest. Ask yourself if your paper is of equal or higher caliber. If not, submit your work to a different journal. Identify the journals related to your field of study and their individual focuses, and then select a journal with a focus similar to the content of your manuscript. Many journals will clearly describe their focus and scope on their website, okay? Consider your field of study. Every field of studies have several different journals publishing information pertaining to that field. Knowing the names of those journals arrows your participating field. Select 2 or 3 journals with a focus similar to the content of your manuscript. While you are only going to be published in one, prepare multiple choices keeps you from having to duplicate the selection process immediately following your possible rejection. Okay, so you can choose always multiple journals like plan A, plan B, plan C. It is always help you to publish your papers as soon as possible. Okay, look at the contact information for each journal and any information pertaining to submission. Make sure recent information that the names of the editors and submission policies can change over time and without warning. Okay, so this is most important thing. Okay, contact information. So should be okay. Go over your manuscript to ensure it is formatted according to the submission guidelines, paying special attention to references, bibliography, text formatting, and citation style. And yeah, this is all the information you will get from the author's instruction. Okay, create your cover letter as I mentioned before. Okay, cover letter is more important. They should include the name of the editor to whom you are sending your work if available. While you want to be personable, you should avoid being too personal. Okay, don't say that please sir, I want this paper for my PhD work, for my this work. So don't be personal, okay? So just write what you want. Actually, as I mentioned before, what are the content should be there in the cover letter. Please be stick with those information, write cover letter based upon them, okay? So it would be a purely business communication, not personal service. Okay. Also, you should not consider a letter to your friend, okay? Make sure it's a business communication. Be sure to keep it professional, include contact information for the editor in case he or she should wish to speak with you about your work, okay? So give the proper contact information of you, right? Get your cover letter professionally edited. Cover letters are often the first thing that the journal editor will read, as I told you, okay? So your letter needs to be strong and impressive, as it can set the tone for the subsequent review process. Yeah. So he won't, editors won't read your manuscript. It should have the contents what I mentioned before. So be stick with those information and prepare cover letter according to, okay? Submit your work. All right, yeah, submit your work. This could be done physically or electronically, depending on the submission guidelines of your selected journal. In case of electronic submission, some journals will not accept attachments, all right? Others will not. Be sure to send your work in the correct format. If you're sending it to physically include, actually, nowadays, nobody accepting in the physical form. So however, so everything is online, there's the editorial manager. So everybody submitting through online format or they submit through emails, okay? Aim high but not too high, okay? Aiming for top tier journals, as I mentioned, Q1 journals with research findings that are not groundbreaking will leave you with a lot of rejection and lost time. So make sure whether your manuscript fit with the scope of the journal. That's more important, okay? Also also check the quality of the journal and also quality of your work. And yeah, the scope of the journal and your work may match, but the quality of your work with the quality of journal will not go with it. So make sure whether your paper can fit in there, or else so you take time to you'll waste your time with the journal. Okay. And do not submit your article more than one journal at a time. This is unethical, and you will eventually get caught. So that you will get fired if you sometimes if the journal complains to the institution, because this was happened with many of the institution in India as well, abroad. They have fined that plagiarized papers, and that was retracted after that, and the faculties has been fired from their job. So make sure you are doing that one. Okay. So when uploading text table and image files electronically, many submission systems will dynamically assemble your files into a single PDF form document for easier handling. Be sure to review your PDF after it gets generated to ensure that it looks correct and that all information has been included. Yep. So after you submit, so you'll get a PDF copy of your submitted manuscript. Just go through it whether all the information has been correctly put there with your as I mentioned before, you should have the outline of your manuscript, right? So with that you can compare, and if everything okay, then you can go for submission. Okay, then you can say submit. So always you get a proof. Okay, that is called proof of your submission. So respect word length. Many journals have a specific requirement for a word length for different document types. Okay, so stick with it. So always read the author's as I mentioned. Okay, if the journal says the word limit 6,000, then do not send a paper with 6,100 words. Okay, that will likely to reject your manuscript. So if a journal allows you to suggest reviewers for your manuscript, do so. This can work to your advantage. Suggest reviewers who know your field well and who might be interested results present in your paper. Mostly they don't send to the reviewer which we are recommending. So they send it to the reviewers who who already registered the journal already, and they have the database. When you are submitting, when you're choosing the subject areas in the journal, so it automatically matches with the reviewer who recorded. So the journal editor sends the manuscript to the reviewers only. Mostly actually they do in the way, actually, not to the reviewers what we recommended, to the editor, okay, or to the journal. If a journal allows you to suggest reviewers who you want, okay, so who you do not want to review your paper, take advantage of this. Make sure your work is not sent to someone in your field who may not see eye to eye with you, your supervisor, your lab, or your research in general. Okay. If you definitely do not want your paper reviewed by specific individuals in your field, do not submit your paper to a journal where these individuals have published recently. Editors often look to people who have recently published on a similar topic in their journal to serve as reviewers. If you think specific reviewers may look favorably upon your work, look to journals where they have recently published and submit your work there if it is within scope. In doing so, be sure to reference these individuals in your manuscript whenever get the credit due. There's nothing that angers peer reviewers more than reviewing an article in which their own work should be cited and is not. Okay. Read the mission statement for the journal to which you submit your work. If your work is highly theoretical and journal clearly states that it does not publish a purely theoretical work, find a new journal. Okay. Email the editor, see if your manuscript topic is appropriate. Most will happily direct you elsewhere if it's not inappropriate for you. Yeah, always the editor says you can try some reviewers. Some editors they suggest to some other journals to submit. So this is also another way. Okay, look your journals that have issued call for papers. They are more likely to look upon any work. Okay, so if there's any call for papers, probably so you can look for that kind of journals to submit your manuscript. Okay, so what is after submission? When you get initial peer reviews, consider them carefully. Is your resubmission cover letter respond to each point made by each reviewer? Okay, so you need to giving the comments. Okay, comments by the reviewer, you need to give answers to them. So you should make sure that you have given all the answers to the reviewers. Okay, highlight the point you followed and the ones you did not. Okay, you should mention everything clear. So when you are asked to perform additional studies, do them quickly and resubmit your manuscript as soon as possible. If reviewers suggest changes, additional studies before the article can be published. Okay, respond to the editor, indicate that you will address this suggestion so that they know your intentions. Okay, do not respond to reviewer comments in an argumentative tone. Okay, always be polite. That is more important when you're giving when you're giving answer to the reviewer comments. Okay, be straightforward and be polite when you're giving your answer. Feel free to disagree, but be sure to have a hard evidence to support your clients. Okay, but don't give unparliamentary words or something which they don't which makes the reviewer to get upset. Okay, if accepted, be sure to carefully check page or post and do so quickly. All right, 24-48 hour turnaround request is typical. In responding to reviewer comments, it's a good idea to copy and paste reviewer comments verbatim in one color. Okay, so example black, and add your response in another color. Like you can put it in the blue or red color. Okay, so in that way, so it will be more easier is to differentiate the question and answer type. Okay, it's like it's more convenient for them. Okay, you should also copy and paste any relevant section from your reverse management into your cover letter. Ideally, a reviewer should be able to tell how adequately you have addressed their comments and without having to read your reverse manuscript. Okay, and well-organized, well-written response letters can help a manuscript review. The editor will see the changes that you have made and may accept it outright. Okay, so don't think that they won't check your responses to the comment. Okay, they will always check. So don't miss any comment. I mean any comment like unaddressed. All right. Remember to select as many keywords as possible. Many people do not do keyword searches when performing literature reviews. Okay, this will increase likelihood of your manuscript being read. Okay, so make sure all those things. Okay, so if you're having any questions, okay, so feel free to ask me. And this is my email address. Okay, I am ramrajesh@gmail.com. Here's my WhatsApp number, and probably I'm going to conduct a workshop for writing articles. Actually, it's under pipeline. If anybody wants to join the workshop, actually, they can contact me. I have put my email address.
Hi, sir. We have some queries in our chat box.
All right. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Can you see? Can you please check it?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Okay. We have some other questions directly sent to me on my mail. I ask some questions to you on behalf of our participants. Sir?
Yeah. Can you read the questions for me?
Which criterion is?
But I cannot see this question.
Can you hear me?
I cannot see this question and answer. I just see the chat box, but
Okay. 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 I will explain.
Right.
I will explain.
Yeah.
Question: do we need a cut short introduction in manuscript? Is my doubt, sir. One of Krishna Shri asked this question.
Sorry, I cannot get your question.
Do we need to cut short introduction in manuscript?
Cut short in what way? Actually, that matters. Actually, it should not cut short. As I mentioned before, okay, so it should be more descriptive, okay. That's why I have given how the introduction. You just follow the steps, okay. So with that only you can do that. I don't know how what perspective you are saying about it.
Sir, another question.
Yeah.
Which criterion is most decisive in selecting a scientific paper?
Sorry?
Which criterion is most decisive in selecting a scientific paper?
Yeah, it depends upon the research area that one conducting. All right. So, for example, for a microbiologist, there are plenty of microbiology journals. But if I'm working on medical microbiology, then I should be more specific about what my work is about. Then I can choose based upon my work, I can choose a journal. So it's always sometimes there's a broad journals. Okay, so you can choose some broad journals as well. If it's your articles fitting into that journal. So no issues. Some journals are more, narrow. Okay, so they want only papers in the specific the scope or their interest. Okay, so that is like that can be done after when you read lots and lots of literatures. Okay, then you'll come to know where you can reach your, where you can send your manuscript. So that is not going to be a big deal.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, there's a question. Sir, may I publish my paper in multidisciplinary journal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so multidisciplinary journal you can publish. It depends, as I mentioned, for the it does something similar. Okay, so it depends if your paper, your manuscript fits into this. Obviously, you can try. Okay, they're asking feedback. All right, I'm not having that one. Should probably the contact you already there. Any other questions you can put in the chat box. I'm ready to answer you. But I'm unable to see this Q question answer. So probably you can drop your question in the chat box.
So we have so many questions in our question chat box. So we will send it to their mail.
Yeah, so so there's a question from Nirmal Kumar, how to identify Q1 and Q2 journals, right? Yeah, you can find it from JCR, okay? You can Google JCR, Journal Citation Report, from where you can find, you can give the name of the journal, and then it will show whether the journal's Q1 or Q2 or Q3 or Q4, okay? So JCR, Journal Citation Report. What about open source journal? It is valid or not? Yeah, so open source is valid. The open source they made, the reason is because many of the institutions will not be having fun to have the access of the journals which is closed. So these days what they're doing, for open access they are charging money from the authors to publish their work and making the article as open for everyone to read, and open access journals gets more I could say this one citations. Okay, the impact factor goes higher. Oh, that's why many prefer to publish in open access journals, because the citation will also increase. Meanwhile, they'll get more good impact factors of the journal. Okay. All right. Can we? This is a question from Danya Jose. Can we re-edit and submit an improved version of an already rejected manuscript? Yes, but I'm not sure whether you can submit to the same journal, but you can submit to other journal. Yeah, you can do it for. You can do it. Again from Dania George.
Sir,
Could you please explain the difference between SCI, SCIE, and EC journals? Has the merging of all the three happened now? I find journals that where SC has been turned out to be SCA. Yeah, so that's why it's all same actually. SCIE is an expanded version of SCI, so you don't have to worry about that actually. So all are same. I'm doing my PG biotechnology. Since we have to do project in the final year, how can we select topic for projects? All right, yeah. So it depends upon your interest. Okay, so one cannot go for do research based upon the topic. It's always with your interest. Okay, so I always suggest you which area you like most. some people like to work on microbes, some people like to work on plants, some people like to work on animal. Okay, some people like to work on like in silico studies. So what I say is like what impresses you most? I mean, because like there's a broad area, right? So we cannot like say with the topic you can go for that. I always say to like go with your interest. So if you like some interest in microbes, so you can try to find okay what kind of microbes and what kind of application that you're going to do. So with that only you can go for selecting the topic. Okay, not with the topic. It's always with your interest. What is your opinion about a paid and non-paid channel? So there's no difference. Paid channel, you are giving money to get published, so there's going to be open access. Okay, a non-paid journal, you're going to publish, but the readers has to pay money to read the article. So paid journals always like have open access, and it increases the citations of the citation of the article. Also, it gives more impact factors. Yeah. Sir, is the format for theoretical paper same? Yeah, but you can like find some more information because I'm not sure. Nisha Borges. And yeah, this question from Satya. Sir, can you provide any plagiarism software? So sorry, I'm not any service provider. Okay. Yeah, there are some. No, you can Google it. Actually, there are like plenty of free softwares available, but I recommend Turnitin and iThetic. Okay, so these are the paid softwares, but it's always good to use this software because they have like good kind of like setup, so it's easy for us to like find out like from where we are taking the information and what kind of like correction should be carried out. So that is going to help. Yeah, all right. Could you please suggest any other way to search journals apart from Google Scholar? Yep, there's a WOS, Web of Science. Okay. I use Web of Science. I use PubMed. All right. And yeah, so most of the journals is covered by the WS, Web of Science. So that's the best way. Or else like Google is also good. And also you can go to PubMed. You can also give a search. And also you can give search with some journals. Some journals will not come in the some some of the search engines. So but Web of Science is okay because if you are always looking for a quality journals, I recommend you to go for Web of Science.
Rajesh.
Yeah.
High indexed and Scopus, which one is better?
See, these are citations, okay? These are like indexing, okay? Indexing stuffs, okay? So what I suggest is if it's Scopus is okay. Because most of the journals, AC journals always comes with the Scopus, okay? So it indexing Scopus. So whenever you go for like submission, always find the about the journal where you can get like lots of information at the bottom, okay? They mention where are the journals has been like getting indexed. From there you can get idea. Okay? So Scopus is always good actually because most of the journals are getting cited in Scopus.
Then single author papers. Single author papers versus multiple one. Which one is have more value?
Single author, yeah. For example, if you're writing a review paper, it's always like because some countries like India or China, some countries they always like see actually how many authors are there. Especially in India, I have found a funny application form where they mention like single author. Okay, not single author, something they mentioned. I was like felt like so funny. Because it cannot be done in the way because research is like a collaborative work, So there will be lots of people involving in our research, and these days some countries they value all the authors. Okay, so if it's one author or like 5 authors, all the authors carry the equal benefits. But a country like India, they always ask for like whether you are the single author or the first author. First author is okay. First author. Corresponding author. This way, if you put a question, is okay. But asking single author paper, yeah, it's like a kind of like difficult because like it's maybe not research journals. I mean in the journals like which they publish research or review. Maybe some correspondence letter, correspondence or like editor note or something. If a single author is okay, but mostly review or research is very difficult to give one author sheet. Okay.
Jitesh, sir?
Yes, yes, right. So let me wind up this session.
All right.
Okay, I will invite our IQC and Vice Principal of our college, Dr. Rama Devi, for wind up in this session and give a word of thanks to our resource person and all the participants. I welcome Dr. Rama Devi.
Hi all. Hope this webinar is very helpful to all of you. Sorry for the inconvenience that occurred in the middle of the session. The webinar is delayed a little bit, but we are very happy that Rajesh sir covered the topic by taking extra time. Thank you, sir. I express our sincere thanks to Dr. Ramaswamy Rajesh Kumar sir for the inspiring and contentful talk. Really, it is very informative and systematic. Thank you, sir. Now I thank Dr. Fasal Kapoor sir for inaugurating the webinar and for his valuable presence. And I thank our principal, Mahin sir, and all the panelists. And I thank each and everyone present here. And well, dear friends, the feedback form will be sent today evening in the registered email ID. You must fill the name in caps and you must write the mail ID correctly because the certificate is generated automatically. The e-certificate will be sent after receiving the feedback form. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, then we can conclude the session. Thank you, sir. Thank you all once again.
Thank you,
Session is
everyone.
over.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to my lecture. And please keep in touch through writing emails if you have any questions, if you want any help, So my email ID I have already shared. I will type here. You can have my email ID. I am putting there in the chat box. And also I am providing my WhatsApp number. So if you have any kind of help, if you need, or if you want to join any kind of my future meetings, so you can feel free to write it to me. And there's going to be one workshop about writing manuscript in a couple of days. So if anybody's interested, can join actually, but you need to pay money for that because it's not free. Actually, there's a Singapore organization, they are joining with me, MES International. So we are going to give full hand online training. So if anybody interested, they can join that one. Yeah, so I am sharing my contact details in the chat box. Please note it down. And thank you very much. Thank you very much to MES College, Erumely, Principal Mahin sir, and Ramadevi ma'am, and Jitesh, and my friend Ashok Kumar, and also who are joining today. Thank you very much, and be safe and stay happy. Yeah, bye.
Thank you, sir.